Guild, and thank you everybody here. Because I know that on a Saturday morning in sunny Los Angeles, there are plenty of nice things to do. So to come into this dark, crowded room and listen to us is I very much appreciate it. And I guess when that gets done, I'll switch over. Let me start with a little story, because everyone loves a story, right? In 2001, I worked on a film, feature film, independent, and everyone on that film was miserable. Now, I'm taking a little bit of dramatic license here. I'm exaggerating, but just go with me. There were people who were showing up to work every day, and they weren't quite sure exactly what they had to do at times. They typically knew what they had to do that day, but if you asked them, what are we doing tomorrow, 50% of them couldn't answer that question. And it was really based for a number of reasons. One is that information just wasn't getting out there. But what you had is people like the grips were constantly after the location manager for information. Here we go. We had the location manager was always going after the line producer, trying to find out what was going on. Wardrobe was trying to figure out where to set up, and makeup was doing the same thing. And then everyone was just assaulting the second AD. And I felt terrible for the second AD, because the second AD was miserable. And if it wasn't for Xanax, he might not be here today. I mean, fortunately, we didn't have any location shoots on a tall bridge, because he may have jumped from there. But what it was is that we had a lot of people who individually were immensely talented, but as a group, they really weren't up to their full potential. And a director friend of mine said this week, and I thought it was kind of funny, he said that if he had to build a village in Afghanistan, he would just have a Hollywood film construction crew do it, because they would get it done in 2 weeks, and they would be able to ask him, do you want neoclassical Greek structures, or would you like, a nice Old West type of a town? And you would get it done right away, because these people are excellent at doing what they do. But sometimes when it comes to the communication between departments, and from the top down and from the bottom up, that's where things sometimes kind of fall apart. So my experiences with that, and that was a bit of an exaggeration, but I think that we can all agree that working in the average industry, working in whether it's engineering or construction or whatever else, there's probably an emergency in that office a week. Maybe UPS is late with a shipment. Maybe the engineer who did the schematic used centimeters instead of inches. But when you're working on a film, day-to-day production, you probably have an emergency in an hour. And when people are fighting fires, they tend to get focused on those things, and sometimes to the detriment of other things that they're responsible for. So what we wanted to do was create some type of a tool that would assist people. Not necessarily are we going to eliminate those fires, but maybe when they come, people can get the information that they need faster, resolve the issue faster, and then move on to the next thing. Or in some cases, maybe we actually can avoid some of the emergencies. And the same friend who told me the story about building a town in Afghanistan said he was talking about Avatar 2, and he was genuinely amazed at the technologies that are being used for these films. I mean, we have the digital cameras that are coming out, the special effects that we have. I mean, when you see 3D pre-visualization tools, it's just phenomenal what's happening out there. Yet, when it comes to day-to-day communication and organizing our productions, why are we still stuck in 1995? Why are we dependent on email and Excel spreadsheets and whatever else someone happens to have on their laptop? So our answer to that, to try to make things better, is Lightspeed. And what I'll do is I'll go into this. What I'd like to do, though, is everyone should have found an envelope on your chair. And if you brought a laptop or some type of device to connect to the internet, if you open up that envelope, there's going to be a little invitation in there with credentials. And there is a website and a username and a password. And if you go to that website, you'll get a login page that should look exactly like this. So I welcome you all to log into the system as I go through this presentation, and you can actually just see screen by screen exactly how everything works. Now, while you're doing that, let me just talk a little bit about Lightspeed. what we are and what we are not. We are not a budgeting program. There are plenty of budgeting programs out there. We're not a payroll company. There are a lot of companies out there that do a very, very good job at that. What we are is a scheduling system. If you're familiar with EP's Movie Magic, we have a lot of that functionality, but we've moved it online. And we chose to put it online because it makes sense to have that scheduling information rather than on a single file on the AD's laptop in a shared location where every single cast member and crew member can access it any time of the day that they want. We also put the crew list online, production reports, call sheets, your script revisions. And it's not just a repository of information where you're just putting these files that you've created somewhere, putting them up there. You're actually creating these files in our system. We had a couple of goals when we designed this. We wanted to have an online system that was available 24/7. We wanted there to be something for just about everyone in your cast and crew to get. We didn't want it to just be for the ADs. We didn't want it to just be for the production office. We wanted, whether you're a driver in transportation and you just need a map where you have to go to that next location, or if you're a grip, or if you are a line producer and you want to look at the schedule, all of that information is available. And one of the benefits by having it online is that, one, it is available all the time, but you no longer have to worry about, do I have the software loaded on my laptop? Is it compatible with Lion, with the new OS on Mac? Because it's a browser, it's online. As long as you have a browser and you can get to the internet, you can access our system. Is there anyone, by the way, is anyone having any problems accessing the website? If you are, please raise your hand, and my colleague Bruce will be happy to help you.
I couldn't get on the Wi-Fi. Oh, you can't get on the Wi-Fi?
If it's Wi-Fi, that might be out of our control, but,
Yeah.
but once you get to the login page, then we'll take full responsibility.
Where's your Wi-Fi?
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log in, and rather than go through the application screen by screen, what I would like to do is show you how specific tasks would be accomplished in Lightspeed.
Yes, right.
So we'll talk about, here's what your AD would do in pre-production. Here's how he would break down a script and get you a schedule. Here's where your key crew members will be able to go out and find the props or find the picture vehicles or find the locations that they need for the shoot. And one thing to keep in mind is that as your production team is doing all this work in the Lightspeed environment, you as the producer have full oversight into all of this. Whether you're home, whether you're in the office, whether you're in a coffee shop, you can log in 30 seconds and see exactly what your team is doing and how much work they've gotten done and what's left. So let me start out by logging in, and we'll show you what the welcome page looks like. Does anyone have any questions at all at this point as to what our system does?
Regarding, since as you're overseeing everything and you kind of see what everyone's doing at the same time and logging in, do you actually have control of seeing who has logged in?
There is, actually, we do have logs for each one of those things. From your user point of view, no, there is no screen that actually will display all of that. But that's something that we'd be happy to, provide.
Yeah, because for instance, if the art department says, oh, I didn't know, I didn't check in, and then you see that they didn't check in.
Yeah, well, we actually have a notification system, and there's actually an audit trail of notifications, which I can show you.
So the administrator, you'd have one person that's the administrator of this. If you had your crew checking in, what if you didn't want them to have a look at your boards, or you didn't want them, you can...
Yes, actually, we have everything modularized and segmented like that. By default, every single person's access is determined by their role. So if you're a grip, you're going to have much, much less access than if you're a line producer.
Right.
And the access that you have to also conduct work is determined by your role. So, a first AD
can you set that up as the administrator? Say, for example, we're on a smaller shoot, we want everyone to have access. A larger shoot, we're traditional grip roles.
Yes, yeah, permissions are customizable. But let me go into this. And so here is the home page. And there's a lot up here, but let me just go through it one by one. What we happen to be looking at is a television series with multiple episodes I'm logged in as a line producer right now. And up at the very top, this is our navigation. So I can go to my home, my project information, in this case a list of episodes for my TV show, cast and crew, things, script, and my breakdown, the elements, my schedule, including strip boards, and then ultimately reports and daily workflow reports, things like call sheets and production reports. On our welcome page, here is my call time, so I'm notified immediately. Monday, 8:15 is my time. Here's the location that I have to go to. The start date of the production was the 3rd. The end date is currently the 24th of November. Up here, this is information from the most recently published production report. So I can see that the start time and the wrap time, any incidents that occurred on that day. And then, a little bit further down, here are my most recent notifications. Now, by the way, this is the home page for me. Every single user gets a customized home page for them, with their notifications, with access to the information that's most relevant to them.
That's listed on the call sheet, both front and back.
Excuse me?
And that I assume comes from the call sheet.
It comes from a number of sources. The call sheet, time sheets, production reports, also the status of your breakdown, and the status of key crew members finding production elements as per the breakdown. And I'll get into all those things specifically.
Who's the administrator at the page, though, in terms of setting all this? Are you as the executive producer, also the administrator of the page?
The way that this is currently set up is that one individual actually initiates the production, actually gets the production on Lightspeed. That individual is what we call the data administrator. So that person has the ability to set up other users, and then at that point going forward, it's up to you and your team to determine how you want to manage that.
Which production team member is usually the administrator?
It would be up to whoever purchases the system. So if you are, let's say that you have your line producer go in there and set it up, and he's the first person to be set up, then we will set up the first person by default as the administrator. You can always reassign that role, and you can also have multiple people with that role. And then down here here are the media types. We're shooting on film stock, and here's the running totals of where we are with that. And then down here, this is our script breakdown status. So for example, we have in our characters, we've broken down 24 characters, and we can see here that there's 24 out of 24. What that means is that casting has secured and cast 24 of the 24 roles. So their job is done. And then for each one of those categories, you can actually see the status. Has props found the props? Has locations found the locations? Are these things secured? So this is a high-level overview of that. But now let me go into some of the specific tasks and how you would do them in Lightspeed. Cast and crew. Cast and crew is going to be your cast and crew list. And this is where you're going to set up all of the people that are working on the production. One thing I'll just note is that in general, in most of our screens, on the left side of the screen is going to be a list of something. And then if you click on that, on the right side, you're going to have the detail information for that one item. And that's pretty much a convention that we use throughout.
How did you get to the cast and crew?
Up here at the top, I clicked on the cast and crew button.
Thank you.
Yes. And now for each individual person, we can assign them an assistant. We can upload images. We can take a look at the positions that they hold. In this case, we are in a TV show with 101 different episodes, and this particular individual has been the costume designer for every one. So there's a history of the roles that they've had in all of their episodes. And then preferences. We can look at preferences. Every individual has the ability to decide how they want the system to communicate with them. Because one of the things that we built into Lightspeed is a notifications engine. When a call sheet gets published, do you want to be notified? Do you want to get a text message on your phone? Do you want a copy of that automatically sent to you in PDF format in your inbox? Do you want script pages sent to you in advance, maybe the day before, so that you can see the pages that are going to be shot tomorrow? So every individual can choose, do they want to be notified via email, through their cell phone? If we've assigned them an assistant, should their assistant get their notification for them? And then do they want it for call sheets, for calendar changes, for the schedule changes, task reminders? Are they someone who's responsible for publishing that call sheet every day? Do they want to get a reminder if they're running late? If maybe they need to get a preliminary out there before the production manager says, hey, second AD, you got to get this thing done so I can look it over.
If they get a notification on their cell phone, do they get a link in the text message, or how do they?
Yes, notifications that point to specific pages will have a link to that page. So here's your call sheet, click, goes to the call sheet. I'll show you how quickly it is, how easy it is to add somebody. So I'm now clicking on the add button above the cast and crew list, and we'll just add John Doe, whoops, first name, last name, and we'll give him a real short address, and he will be a key costumer. I can choose to enable the logon or not. Do I want him to have access to the system? Do I want him to be able to log in and get information? Because it's possible to set people up as just consumers of information. You know, I'm not going to give them login access, but I want them to get notifications. I want them to get maps, call sheets, reports, things like that. Totally your choice. And then we'll set them up with a little password.
Can this be accessed by all smartphones?
We are compatible with Droid, with iPhone, and iPad. Not really a phone, but you know, the iPad is growing by leaps and bounds.
How did you get your picture and on your profile? You had a picture of yourself.
Oh, what I did for that is, where was I? Let me alphabetize this list. Here I am. I went to Images, and I can edit this particular record by clicking on the Edit button, and then I can add a new image, delete an image. You can have as many images as you want.
When you have it to where someone sees the information and everything, but you don't have an administrative position, is it possible that you have like a master administrator email where they can email you back and say, I saw something that's wrong, can you change it? Like for each department.
Yes. Actually,
this is wrong.
Yes. In a subsequent revision, we are building department workspaces, which would do exactly that. Plus, it will have live chat, so that people can actually communicate in real time. In the meantime, though, you know, one of our intents was never to replace email itself, because I know that a lot of people depend on email, and we didn't want to, you know, try to, you know, step in and say, well, stop emailing your crew, use us instead.
Sadly enough, there's so much email you get that you want it specific to what it is on that.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the benefits here is that because we can tag the emails with keywords, that you'll be able to sort through them in your email system and find what you need. Let me move on to the next thing because we're a little limited on time. So here's your cast and crew. Let me quickly show you what the project list looks like. Now, if you're working in a feature film, you're not going to have an episode list because it's a feature film. Unless, of course, you're working on Lord of the Rings and you want to have 3 movies in parallel, then you can just treat each one as a separate project or a separate episode. The benefits of having multiple episodes within a production is that things that are not episode-centric, like the people that you work with, the locations that you use, the actual prop houses that you use, the picture cars, those all remain the same. So they carry over from episode to episode. So in our system, you only have to enter that information once, and you can reuse it infinitely. In this case, we have, as I mentioned, 101 episodes. I will quickly show you that I'm in episode 1. If I wanted to switch to a different episode, I have an episode drop down on top, and this gives me a list of all the episodes that I personally am a cast or crew member in. So if you hire someone and they only work on 1 episode, their drop down is only going to contain 1 episode. In fact, if you're logged in right now, your own drop down should only contain 1 episode because you're all a member of just a single episode. And on that note, I want to mention that all of your logins are good for the next week. You all have control over an entire episode. So feel free to do whatever you want over the next week. It's your episode. You can make any changes.
How do you put the strip board in, and how do you put the call sheets in?
Okay, actually, I'll get to that in just a moment. Okay. The one thing I will show you real quickly before I move into getting a script in and doing a breakdown is you can very easily add a new episode. There's an add button above the list of projects. What we enable you to do is give it an episode name. So I'm now going to create, we're now on episode 102. Okay, we want to start that up. we allow you to copy the project members from the existing project. So let's say that the majority of your cast and crew is the same. So rather than have to reassign all those roles, just copy them over and you're done. Also, copy project preferences. Project preferences are things like day of day settings. Are we using drops and holds? What's the number of hold days that we have? What are the tasks? Who's responsible for call sheets? Who's responsible for timesheets? All that gets carried over as well, so that you're starting off with these default settings. I'm going to cancel that. I will just quickly show you project preferences. So you can see that for this particular project, episode 1, we are using automatic notifications. The system will send out notifications to people. You can turn that off. It's a single checkbox. Do we want to allow users to view script pages? We wanted to put a lot of security features in when it came to script pages, so that when Indiana Jones 5 is shooting and people are extremely paranoid that there's going to be a leak, that the leak does not occur here. There are a few things that we have in place. One is that we use the latest SSL encryption. So every single time that you're logged in, every piece of data that's going over the wire is encrypted by 256-bit. We use a DigiCert certificate for that. Also, when you upload a script, you can choose to not upload the actual script text. So you can just upload the scene headings for the purposes of a breakdown. But even if you do upload the text, you then have the option to delete it. Or if you want to keep it in there, you can hide it from the users so that you can actually use it for script distribution, but people cannot view it online.
Is this a way to send sides to actors and call sheet?
Yes, actually. From the script page, I'll show you that it's possible to send sides and they can be watermarked.
What format script files do you accept?
PDF, .sex, and Final Draft. One other thing I'll show you really quick is within an individual project, this was a screen that we designed actually internally when we were testing the system. It turned out to be so helpful that we kept it. For every single episode or for your feature film, this is a very quick way of adding and removing people from various roles. So what you can do is you can say, okay, for episode 1, I want Bill Dash to work in costumes. He's the head cutter now, and he's now added to the system. And you can just go ahead and quickly add and remove people like that. So it's a very, very nice way to do it.
That's under what tab?
That's under the project tab. You select a project and then choose the project members button. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into the script. And I'll show you, we're looking at a breakdown page right now. I'll get back to this. What I would like to show you, though, is how a script import and breakdown occurs. So, and forgive me if I'm going quickly, I'm just trying to get a lot in at once. If you have any questions, feel free to shout them out. Right now what we're looking at is we have 3 script revisions that have been uploaded. White, blue, and pink. So we're using locked pages and we're using color codes.
What file format?
These were uploaded from PDF. Now what we're looking at right now is actually not a PDF. This is the script, this is the pink script. And I'm going to say, and I can view it by scenes, pages, or shoot days. Once you've published a schedule, you can say, show me the pages for shoot day 5, shoot day 45, and we'll just give you those pages. Now, what I want to point out is that we're not looking at a PDF right now. What we do when we import a script is we break it down line by line. We parse every single line and word out. We disassemble it, we put it into our database, and then we reassemble it and show it to you here. And we do that for a specific reason. Trust me, it was a lot of work. We didn't want to do it for no reason. We do it so that we can individually locate a single line if that line is relevant for you at any one time. If you are an actor and you're playing the role of Merlin and you want your lines highlighted on your copy of the script, we can do it. Because we can identify that individual line. Character or scene heading, everything. Yes. Now, what we're doing right now is we can view the script pages and we can see that we do show the color codes of those pages. So this is the blue, these pages were last updated in the blue revision. This was a white revision page and so forth. Let me show you what a script import actually looks like. So above my list of script revisions, I'll click on the Add button. I can add a new script revision. The script is called Merlin. I'm going to call this one Merlin V4. Page color, the next page color by default is yellow, but I could choose a different one. We maintain 20 revisions of coloring before we return to white. Let's go with yellow. I'm going to do an automatic import. Now I choose a file. So I'm choosing the PDF of Merlin. I'm going to open that. I now upload the file. So what's happening now is the file is being uploaded to my server, which happens to be located in Chicago. Why Chicago? It has the lowest incidence of natural disasters. So far. I think the cow knocking over the lamp was the last big one. And also, it has a colder climate. So literally, air conditioning costs in server rooms are cheaper than in places like Dallas and Los Angeles. I'm not going to say that that makes us very greener, but slightly. Click on Continue. So what we're doing now is we're parsing the script. This is a 119-page script. We're going through it line by line, page by page. And we have 116 scenes and 118 pages. I'm going to continue. I apologize. I left my phone on intentionally because when I receive notifications a little bit later, I want you to actually hear that they occurred. So now we're looking at a scene list. And this is what we parsed out from the PDF. It took us about, I don't know, 20, 30 seconds. We color code the scenes based on interior, night, exterior, day, whatever. Here are all the set names. I'm going to click on Next. If this is the first script that we've imported, we're pretty much done. But this is the 4th revision. We have 3 revisions. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to compare. We're going to compare revision 4 with revision 3. And here, bless you. And here's why. Because we're making a presumption that you've broken down, or someone has broken down revision 3. You have a lot of good breakdown information in revision 3. We want to transfer that breakdown to revision 4 because we keep a separate breakdown for each revision. So that if when you get to revision 4, you have new picture vehicles, you have new characters, whatever, that part of the breakdown doesn't apply to revision 3. And we want you to easily be able to revert back to revisions or switch between them and have an accurate breakdown. So what we're doing is we're comparing one with the other. And then in the middle, we can see that this scene is 90% similar, this scene's a perfect match, this scene is 70% similar. And we basically come up with a scene fingerprint based on the elements in the scene, the characters, the length of the scene, whether it's interior, exterior, basically all the attributes of a scene, we compare them side by side. And then what we allow you to do is manually take a look at this and decide that, yes, this is a match. We want you to have the manual control over this step rather than us doing it automatically. We think it's safer that way. I can now transfer. So what I'm doing is I'm first clicking on accepting that these scenes are a match. Now I'm transferring. Once everything is blue, I've now transferred the entire breakdown from revision 3 to revision 4. I can click on Next. And this gives me one last chance to review all the scenes in revision 4. And I can also make changes here. I could say that, okay, scene 69 is not in the Sacred Grove. It's actually one of these other places. So I could make changes on the fly. I can add a script day if I want to. But I'll just click on Finish. And I now have my 4th revision, and it's yellow. And I can click on that, and we can see that page 1 had a change. That's yellow. This one did not. That's still blue. That's still blue. That's yellow, and so forth. And the star over here on this side on my list shows me that's the revision that's in use for the production. If I now just want to use the yellow revision, I click on yellow. I say use this revision, set it as the default, and now that revision and its breakdown is going to be used for the production going forward.
Can you print from the program?
Excuse me?
Can you print the script from the program?
Yes. In fact, what I'll do right now is what we do is we print PDFs.
But you have to organize the color that is printed on manually, right?
Yes. Well, what we have is when we create a PDF, because it's electronic, the PDF itself is going to maintain the color codes. And what I'll show you that right now. What we're doing is we're introducing the options that if you wanted to then print that to paper, we just then revert back to black and white, so that you have that option. But I'll show you what the PDF looks like.
Is there something in the header that tells you which revision it is? Is it printed from this?
If the script had the header, then we retain that. Everything in the script we retain. This particular script didn't have a header. What I'll do right now is we're looking at the first 7 scenes. I'll print these. And this is what it looks like. So we're going to end up with a PDF.
Just before we go a little further,
Sure.
Just like on the lines of what he was saying as far as the header, I don't know if he was kind of thinking this, but is it possible, like when it says yellow, then in the header it says yellow?
Right, exactly.
And so you know what version that is in case you don't have to.
In other words, in addition to whatever header information already exists, I was always told to put yellow in the header just in case.
Oh, I see. Well, you know what? That's actually no, that's actually a recommendation that we like. That's good. That's something we could easily put in.
Yeah. It could be in the footer, just somewhere, so that it's like somebody can go, no, this is not the yellow. I thought it was yellow, it's not.
Yeah, no, that's something that we could easily add to that. So what I just want to point, I'll get to that in just one moment. What I want to point out is that this is our script page. It's a little faint. I don't know if you can see, but the watermark is present. So what I have on the back is my name and today's date, so that if I leak this to TMZ, they know where it came from.
Well, you can also do that with the yellow, or whatever color it is, kind of put it in the watermark as well.
Yeah, so you know, what we're using is the gray, because that seems to work best on all the different page colors. But here, you can kind of see it best there on the blank. Now, I've imported a script. Let me go to my breakdown. You had a question earlier?
I was just having difficulty finding the page number on the script.
Oh, okay, let me go back there. And right here, this is page 1 of the script. And this is page 2. And then when we actually print it out, you get whatever the PDF was displaying. So if page numbers were in the PDF, then that's what you'll get. But if page numbers are not in the PDF, on the online version, you have our page numbers. Let me show you the breakdown real quick. So your line producer started this off, imports a script, and now can go to the breakdown. By default, when we import a script, if it's a PDF, we automatically break down all the scenes, obviously. So we have all the scene headers and the sets, and we also pick up the characters. Anyone who has a line of dialogue gets added as a character. And we also numerically order them, cast IDs based on the occurrences in the script. And we also insert a synopsis. So we know the synopsis may not be perfect, but we basically take a look at the first paragraph in each scene, and we cut that down and use it as the initial synopsis. The ADs that we've talked to about that love that feature because apparently they hate typing in all the synopsises.
Can I ask one more question?
Thank you.
Can I ask one more question?
Yes.
Is it possible to just print all the yellow pages?
Not yet. In the very near future.
That way, if you don't
Yes.
you don't want to print every white again, you just want to print just the yellow and have somebody stick them in there. You can
Yes.
do that. Okay.
Yeah. So what it will be is basically all the pages that are tagged a certain revision distributed all by themselves.
Okay.
Yes.
Can the actors print out just their sides?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. There's a. I'm not logged in as an actor, but we also have a sides feature which does the double-sided or double pages per sheet. With the and what we do is the parts of the pages that are irrelevant, we cross it out, and we also use a very light font so that the applicable scene is bolder. So in our breakdown, what we're looking at on the left side is our scene list. And I can click on any one of these scenes, and we're going to get the breakdown page for that. So we can see here that this is scene 6, interior, inner fortress night, Aiden awakes in the middle of the night. It's on script page 4. The page length is 4/8. And by the way, all of this was automatically computed through our import process. Naturally, you can go in there and change it if we happen to be off by a little bit, but so far we do a pretty accurate job. We do have a schedule published right now, so the shoot day for this is the 14th, October 20th. And it's being shot at the Ventura Armory Museum. Now I can edit this, and when I edit this, I can make changes up here, but I can also add and create elements. So I can go to my element list, and I can say I'm going to go ahead and add another prop. We want to add the candles to this, and the vines. And while we're at it, we're going to add a laptop because every medieval script should have that.
Where does this initial data come from?
Oh, well, the initial breakdown, this script has been broken down. So the initial breakdown on import, we pick up characters, sets, and scenes.
This come out of movie managed sketching, for example. Is this an import from?
No, this is an import from a PDF. This is the PDF of a script.
In other words, these materials
Things like props and other elements like that, no, they're not.
Okay,
However, if you use Final Draft Tagger, if you tag a script in Final Draft, then we import all that automatically, and that's part of your breakdown from day one.
But you already have like wardrobe breakdown in here.
Yes, that was done by me. That was done by me doing a breakdown on this screen.
It's like doing a breakdown.
Yes, exactly. So I'll close this, and basically you do your breakdown right here in this online screen. If you change your mind, I don't want the vines, I'll click on the red X, and that removes that element. So here's how you manage your elements. So you can create them on the fly, you can search for them, you can do all that.
So this kind of virtually eliminates other programs.
Yeah, it's basically a replacement for a system like Movie Magic scheduling where you would do it on a laptop, and we put it into this online system. Also, we have scene management features. You can merge scenes if you want to put two scenes on the same strip for scheduling purposes. We have that feature. If you want to omit a scene, you can omit the scene on the fly, and we do that. Let me save changes.
You can do, say for example, I have a park scene, 9 apple or 9.
Mm-hmm.
You can part out scenes as well.
Yes, what I can do right now is I can click on the add button above the scene list, and then I can create a new scene part, and I can call it whatever I want.
You can't import from Movie Magic scheduling.
That's correct. That's correct. Now that I have my script, and I've done a little bit of a breakdown, let me show you what the element list looks like. So we have our list of script elements. So here are our characters, props, costumes, etc., and our sets. And what I want to point out is that on our list, for each one, we list the number of occurrences that that element is in the script, and then we have a status. And the status is typically either a green check mark, a red flag, or in some cases just a dash. And a green check mark means that your key crew department for that has secured it. So they've gone in here and they've marked, yes, I've found that prop, or I've cast that role. The red flag means they're still working on it. And if it's a dash, it means that we just don't care. We recognize that there might be elements that you just don't care about, like the character that flips a quarter. You know, we can handle having a quarter on set that day. We're not going to worry about setting it up in the system. So we give you the option to just not even have to worry about tracking it. For a given element, you can see all of the scenes that it's in down here in the scene list, and also linked script elements. So when you're doing your breakdown, if the character of Merlin always has the leather cap and he has the walking stick, you can link those elements together, and then when you add Merlin to the scene, those elements are going to be carried along with them. And also we allow you to do it retroactively. So there's a retro button. So let's say that Merlin is already in 100 scenes, and now you want to give him his wardrobe. Well, associate his wardrobe with him, click on retro, and then just say, yes, all of these I want to be retroactively added to his scenes, make retroactive, and you're done.
So can I just ask a question? Are
Sure.
you actually then, you pull out all this information from a PDF of this script, this process, you person, but you actually have to schedule in your program.
That's correct.
We all have to learn how
Once
to
you're a
schedule
Lightspeed
this
show, you're a Lightspeed show. Therefore, EP and Movie Magic are all gone. The AEs have to work with this system.
That is correct. This, yes, yes. Yes, so this acts as a replacement for other CD-based install locally scheduling software.
And if you can't, that's my next question, is it can the AE or anyone else, the first person working with it, who's imported the script and now has to put all this data in, in order for everything else to work, do they have to be online to do this?
We have basically there's an offline module so that when people are, let's say someone's going to fly across country and they want to use those 5 hours to break down the script, what we allow them to do is an offline component, they download the project information, do the breakdown, import the script, break it down, create your strip board and your schedule, and then when you land, upload it.
Perfect.
And and you have your own proprietary breakdown pages that then translate in the way
Correct.
we normally do?
Correct. Correct. So what I just showed you now was we imported a script, we did a little bit of a breakdown on the breakdown page, and then I showed you the resulting list of elements. What I'd like to show you now is a little bit of the scheduling.
Well, before you move to that, just quick, can the costumer also track costuming changes in the same way that we're tracking props? Or
Yes.
is there there's another way to do that? I don't have to see it. I'm just
Yeah, so for each one of the element categories, and so here's costumes, and then they can go in there, and all of the costumes that are called for by the script from the breakdown, they can then find the equivalent production element costumes. We're calling them production elements, you know, the real live things that appear before the camera. And then just associate those two.
Great, thank you.
So let me go to our calendar. So what we're going to look at now, and I've clicked on the schedule tab if you're following along. This is our production calendar. We are currently in a production. So for a given day, on each calendar day, we have, here's what the crew call was, and this is a link to that day's call sheet, the shoot day that we're on, shoot day 1, 2, etc., and the scenes that are being shot that day. So we can see that, okay, here it's Saturday, next Monday, crew call is 8 a.m., and we're shooting these 3 scenes. And I can click on any of this stuff and immediately be taken to that screen.
Can you click on call sheet just to show it?
Sure. So here is the call sheet for Monday. Here are the scenes that are being shot.
How did you get to that?
I clicked on the call sheet link from the production calendar.
Which we don't have because there isn't one loaded.
Actually, yes, the environments that you have the production calendar, but there are no call sheets.
Right.
Yes.
And you created the template, so the information is imported into the boxes that you created on this.
Yes, exactly. When it comes to call sheet templates, I recognize that everyone likes to have their own template. If you have, we make this offer. If you have a template that you like, within 24 hours, we will have that template ready for you.
And there's like header information, all that stuff, phone numbers, stuff that's editable.
Yes.
For each show, and you create it for the show as you set up the show.
Exactly. Exactly. So, and then for example, I'm looking at the call sheet for the 24th. I can use this drop down to look at any previous call sheet that I want. I can go down to the back page. I can see here's my crew, here are all their times. I can edit this. And I'll get to this towards the end because I kind of want to show you how the notifications work with call sheets. But let me hop over to the strip board. So our AD has imported a script and done some breakdown. Let's go to the strip board. I'm working in a project where I've already actually created a schedule, but I can create a new one. So what I'll do is I'll go into my list of strip boards. The way in which we handle strip boards is we group strip boards into sets. So a strip board set consists of what's unscheduled and what's scheduled for all of your various units. And we allow you to have a separate strip board for each unit if you have multiple units. And you can have...
This list is in the strip board next between layouts and making defaults. I mean, right now we have strip board number 1 in ours.
That's correct. That's correct. And if you want to create a new strip board, under schedule there's a strip board sets link. And if you click on that, it will take you to the screen that I have up right now. So what I can do is we have a single strip board that's been created. I'm going to copy that. And now I have Rev 2 of that. And I'm going to go ahead and edit this new strip board. And we can see up on the screen the timestamp and the last person who actually touched that strip board. So here's our strip board editor. On this side are what's scheduled. Here's what's unscheduled. And it's pretty much it's easy enough to highlight strips, drag and drop, and just rearrange the schedule any way that you want. If you want to add a new daybreak, we have a daybreak banner up at the top. Just drag that down and drop it where you want. We instantly add the daybreak, compute the pages, update the calendar, shooting schedule, date of day, everything with that new daybreak. Also, we have an auto schedule.
So this is great, except what happens when the system goes down? What happens if the system goes down? You're in the middle of shooting and you have to get information to people and the system goes down.
What we have to prevent that is fault tolerance processes in place. And what that means is we have clustered servers. So when you're accessing us, everything is redundant. We have 3 redundant fiber connections that go to the actual facility itself. There are 2 redundant networks within the facility. And then the servers that host Lightspeed, there is a duplicate for every single component. So when you hit our web server, you're hitting one of several. When you're on an app server, there's one of several.
So if I'm on location where I have no wireless, no internet, no nothing, which happens a lot for me, what is the module? Can I tell my AD, use the module, download tomorrow's work, and that way you can build a call sheet out on set? Because your second AD starts building right after lunch, your call sheet. So is that part of your guys' module system, that if we're in a location that they can't get internet access, they can download the night before and generate a call sheet on set?
Yes, if they're going to be at a place without internet access, then what they could do is, at the last point at which they do have access, download the project information, and then work offline that day. And that would give them the ability to create the call sheet.
You can print from the module. That's the
oh,
module,
absolutely.
Yeah, the module acts as a standalone, frozen in time, but updatable unit if you can't get onto the internet.
Yes.
That's
Yeah. Yeah. Now there is a little. Now there is an active role. You do need to make a choice and say I'm going to download this. So it's not. We don't keep an automatic synchronization of online and offline.
Is it possible to have for whoever the main person is who's doing the updating to have it automatically go to their module if you know that it's going to be problems? Like if you're in a sketchy area.
Not yet. Not yet. Not yet.
But when you do that, can you freeze the access to the cloud version so that nobody else can make changes while the real changes are being made?
No, the cloud version is still available, and then basically that would be up to the individuals that are working with the data to manage that themselves. But when you do upload, you have a choice. You don't upload everything as a bundle. You want to upload your strip board. You want to upload, the breakdown. So you have a choice of what you want to do. So if you've only updated one thing, then you can upload that one thing.
But let's say the AD, when he finally gets on, he or she gets online, they'll see all the notifications, and so they'll know what changed. In other words, they've been working off the modules to create the call sheet. They haven't had access. And now suddenly the next day, now they have access again. They'll get all the notifications of what's changed.
Yes, and also, and if their cell phone happened to be working during that time, then they're going to get it that way too. Yeah. So what I want to show you here is that this is just an auto scheduler. So when you're first creating your strip board, then you can go in here and have it automatically just give you an initial sort. So maybe you want to organize your strips by set, then by interior, whatever fields you want to use. You can do that. That'll give you the initial sort, and then you can modify it from there. Also, we allow you to insert daybreaks automatically. When you're doing this, you can insert a daybreak every so many pages or strips, or you can spread the schedule over a set number of days. And then we automatically compute where the daybreaks would most likely work based on page count. Okay, so after we have all of this, let me just go to reports very quickly and show you that you're now going to be able to generate a shooting schedule. So I'm going to generate a shooting schedule for the current scheduled date range that we're shooting. And this is what it looks like. So note that these are all documents, this is all information that's being generated on the fly with the system. Okay, so no one had to create a shooting schedule on their own. They can just click a few buttons and they get it. And here we go. And we also have the one-liner, a number of other reports. Given more time, I'd be happy to show you all of them, but let me move on to the next item. And that is element management. So let's say that you're in pre-production, you've broken down the script, you're green-lit, and now you're actually bringing on your key crew members. So this is how your key crew members would go about doing part of their job. So let's say that our prop guy knows that he has to find a sword for this. He has to find the king's sword. And what we allow him to do is we have a played by tab for every single element. And this is where you can go in here and you can input, here are candidates for this. Okay, I went to the prop house and I found this. I went to the prop house and I found this. And every one of these is a production element that you can put into the system. And you can do it remotely. So you can be in a prop house with your phone and you can find the thing, take a picture of it, put it into Lightspeed, and then say, hey, I found this sword. And then you can just put them in side by side. So here's one that looks like that, and here's another that looks like that, and here's another that looks like that, and they're all candidates to play the king's sword in the scene. And then a decision maker can be in the production office looking at this and say, you know what, I like this one the best. And then what they can do is they can edit this, and they can say this is no longer a candidate, it's been selected. And now I get a green check mark next to the king's sword because we've now chosen to use this.
Can you do locations as well?
Locations, casting, absolutely everything. And locations is even more interesting because locations, there's a lot of information with locations. So here's a location record. This is a location that you might be shooting at. And what we have here is, here's a picture of it. Here's the address. Here are all the different sets that it's being used for. And I'm actually showing all the different episodes as well, because we're reusing it. I can click this to only show me when it's being used for the current episode. I can generate a location report. And so here's a map, here's directions. Down here, points of interest. Where's the nearest restaurant? Where's the hospital? Where's the nearest gas station? Or where's the nearest copy center?
What's that generated from?
It's generated partially automatically and partially by locations. Locations will input the information. And then once they have, like, say, parking directions and they've put in a map, then you just click on this one button and you can get this forevermore. Also, when we distribute call sheets, if you've opted to have location directions sent to you as well, you will get a location sheet just like that for each location on the call sheet, automatically. And speaking of which, let me get to that. So one of the big reasons why I created this thing to begin with was actually because of call sheets. Because when every film that I worked on, every TV show that I was involved in, call sheets always seemed to be kind of a sticking point. It was always tough for the AD to kind of get the thing out on time, and there was always a little bit of a struggle. And then there were always a number of people who were waiting around for a paper copy because for whatever reason they couldn't do the electronic thing. Of course, that was a couple of years ago. But call sheets were we really wanted to have a strong call sheet system here. So here's how we handle our call sheets. And this is where I'll show you how the notifications work. I'm going to go to the call sheet. This is under reports. Here are the call sheets that we have so far. I can take a look at each one. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to delete Monday's call sheet and recreate it so we can see what it looks like when I'm creating a new call sheet. So I'm going to remove that. And I'm now going to create a new call sheet. So I have the schedule input. I have the script. I have the schedule. I have my cast members. I have all the script elements, the characters. And I've associated all this information, right? I was just notified that the call sheet got deleted. So because I have the schedule in the system, because I have all this information, I can choose a date, I can click on save, and my call sheet is going to be pre-populated with all of the information for that day. We even pre-populate sunrise and sunset times based on where you are in the world, longitude and latitude. So here are the scenes, and here's the back page. And what I'm going to do very, very quickly is I'm going to save this. I am going to make it final. It's now preliminary. Once I make it final, notifications are going to go out.
Everyone didn't get that notification that it was deleted, correct? Just you?
No, the people who are affected by it.
They all know that you had deleted?
Excuse me?
They all know that I had to delete that form? They all got a notification that I just deleted Mondays to redo the
Yes.
policy?
I mean, not everyone here, because the people who have, everyone here, the logins that you have, you are not on the crew or cast of this particular
everyone
production.
on my production that I'm working with just knows that I just had to delete Monday? I don't know that I want them to know.
If it was final.
Yeah, if it was final previously.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, only if it's final. If it's prelim, no one gets notified.
Okay.
So let me save this. Am I out of time, Todd?
No.
Okay. So now what I'm going to do, there we go. Okay, I got it, but for some reason I didn't get the buzz. I'm now going to edit this, and I'll show you something else. This is now a final call sheet. I'm going to go down to where I am. I'm the line producer. I'm going to change my time. I now have to come in at 8 a.m. I'm going to save it. And what we do, because we have these line item pieces of information, I'm going to notify just me that my call time changed. And assuming that my phone is functioning properly, I'll get that.
Is this an automatic sender? Do you have to hit send?
Right now this project is configured for that to be automatic. So it would go automatically. And Bruce, are you getting?
No, I don't have much. You know,
okay.
You know, it'd be helpful. I'm sorry. I think it would be helpful to have it, be able to finalize it so that someone else can review it without having everybody know that it's there.
Well, that's exactly how it works.
Okay.
Well, the way it works is that you create a call sheet, it's prelim. do whatever you want to it, then alert whoever, the prelim's done, can you take a look at it, and then they can then review it and finalize it.
Sometimes you don't have the best relationship with everybody, and it's like somebody who's like, look at this, tell me it's a go, and then I'm going to post it.
And the vast majority of crew members cannot look at prelims.
Okay.
Yeah, question. Pre-production is so important, to us as producers. So I'm just wondering if I understand correctly. If I'm a location manager, or I'm wardrobe, or I'm props, and or I'm transportation, and I've got a location, or a dress, or a suit, or a prop that I want the director and producers to see and approve, when I'm not with them, or it's something I need like immediate. If I upload the picture to this site, can they be notified? Just go on the internet and look at it and get approval that easily?
Not yet for that. But what we have is we have a very good notifications engine that we built into here for things like schedule change, mainly for schedule changes and scene changes. Anything that happens to a call sheet, people will get notified if it applies to them. We are expanding that to a number of other pre-production and production functions.
Well, as a location manager, if I'm putting the location pictures on my site, and I've got one location, I've got 3 buildings that need to be chosen still, I can't ask the director and producer to just take a look at it and tell me what they think without actually going there. They don't need to.
Is that separate?
That's what I'm asking about.
Send the test.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, basically, people can, we would upload that and then, let them know the information has now been uploaded. Phone call, whatever.
Once they know the picture,
yes.
they can look at it.
Exactly.
I think what you're desiring is like being able to ping somebody who's on this list and say, ding, and a quick message, and bam, off, so that then they don't have to go outside the system in order to notify somebody, one person, to come look at this. Like, ding, go look at this, and here's a link, wow.
Yeah.
So they can just go. I know that's a different thing, but.
And just in the interest of time, because I think I'm almost out, a few things I want to show you is that we allow you to track film stock inventory, so you can do this. This information automatically populates your production report. So that hopefully it's no longer on Post-it notes and being shared back and forth. Also, we have a timesheet, so you can track everyone's time. Our timesheet is compatible with SAG Exhibit G. You can output a SAG Exhibit G from our system. And the one thing I also want to show you is multiple units. Let's say that you do want to add a second unit. What you do is you go to the preferences for your project. Let's edit this. We have a unit section. You can add a unit. And let's just call it unit number 2. That's fine. I'm going to save it. When you have multiple units, here's what happens. On your strip board, we now have a unit number 2 strip board. We now have a board. So every unit has their own board. You don't have to use it, but if that's how you would prefer to use it, it's there. You can have up to 8 units in parallel. They can all have their own boards. And by the way, they'll all have their own boards, calendars, and call sheets. So you can generate a separate call sheet for the second unit because it's presumably different people, different locations, and so forth.
And then they can edit that down to only what they need for themselves.
Yes, and also you can actually segregate your crew. So in the crew, I can now go into someone and I can say this person is this role for second unit, and they're going to get a second unit icon, and they will appear in the second unit reports. And I believe that my time is up. So the one last thought that I will leave you with, I had a whole bunch of stuff. Go ahead.
Yeah, what's this cost?
I was actually hoping to answer that at the end, but it's very reasonable. For feature films, we start at $500 for your entire production. For television shows, it's based on number of episodes, but I guarantee you that your craft services budget for water will probably exceed our cost, even for a day.
No question about it.
So what do we, at the end of this, I'm sorry, but at the end of all of this, how do I resurrect this information 3 years from now when you guys have been merged with New Magic or whatever? How do I get this information back?
Well, it's an excellent question. There are a few things. Number one is we offer the ability when a project is retired. We have a number of features. One is you can just make it read-only and keep it on the server as long as you want. 2, you can shut it down completely and generate an archive of documentation. So we can basically give you an output, and you can get it electronically, you can get it on a DVD of all of your files, all of the, the crew list, all of that in PDF and Excel format. Also, you can archive it, in which case it's no longer accessible. It's not even in read-only format, but it's still on our servers. And you can keep it there as long as you want. Every single production on our servers is backed up twice nightly in 2 separate geographic locations. So we do our very best to make sure that your data is safe and secure. The one last thought I want to leave you with is, I'll answer the question at the very end, I promise, is, hopefully you've seen some things that you like. Hopefully you see some things that are new and that you might find helpful on your next production. One of the things that I personally found very helpful in my experiences using this on productions is when new people have joined the team in the middle. They sit down at their desk, they log in, and within an hour they know what's going on. It's really hard to replicate now when things are on paper and pencil or in a Movie Magic file on some guy's laptop.
What documentation for a manual do you have to learn the program?
Oh, we have an online help system, which I'm happy to show you in a little bit. And also, the online help system is also available in PDF. So it's an entire manual. It's a 75-page help document. So feel free to read the whole thing. Anyway, it's something that you can get to using your credentials. So I'm going to, out of respect for time, let me go to the next person. I'm going to shut my laptop down, and we'll welcome Mark. Thank you very much.